Hi everyone, welcome back to Spa Sisters podcast with Julie Wren.
And Carly Chamberlain.
Nice to have you all back listening to us, and we have some amazing topics coming up. Today, we wanted to share with you a survey that we've created, which we're putting out to therapists and employees in the spa industry, the wellness industry, to get some feedback on where you are with your life, your career, your workplace at the moment. And the main topic we are discussing today is, do you feel trapped in your current situation, in your work, in your career? And we're going to explore that a little bit more now. Remember, this Spa Sisters podcast is here to engage, disrupt, and transform the therapist experience. So all your feedback is greatly received. Email us at spasisterspodcast@gmail.com or at Spa Sisters Podcast on Instagram, Facebook. Over to you, Julie. Let's get started.
Hey, yeah. Thanks, Carly. I really love this subject of, do you feel trapped in your career? Because this is something often that we very rarely get to voice, because, job situations are sometimes quite fragile. But as we see now, we've got this thing called the Great Resignation, where we're finding it really hard to fill vacancies. So I'm thinking, why is that? Do people see their job as a disposable, if you like, something that doesn't suit me today, I'm going to move on to the next? Or, are we so trapped within it that we don't think we can get out? So there's two things there that I think we could discuss. But let's start with that first one, like you said in your question. Do you feel trapped in your current situation or career? And what does that trap look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there is sort of, I think, situations that people find themselves in that I do believe are governed by personal pressures, financial pressures, security, the need for security and stability in their work. And is that hindering growth? So although people like things a certain way, and they like the reassurances and the salary they're getting, they know where they stand every month, right? And that's great. But is there a point where we are resigning ourselves to a situation and probably might know it, but aren't voicing it because we are of the belief that this is our lot in life and I have to pay my bills every month?
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw that, didn't we, Carly? Sorry to interrupt you there, but we saw that. There's a very good point there, and I want to bring that to the fore, where when people were put on and their salaries were cut, we saw so many people leaving our industry because they needed that security. So the trap there was the finance, the fact that they were, and I get it. I myself there, I can identify with that many years ago. Same situation where you feel like you need to just to have that job, but that job is no longer going to be secure enough for you. So you give up perhaps your dream of being a therapist, and you go and look for something else that brings you that financial security so you can take care of your family.
Yeah. And then, I think we sort of, like you said, we live in this culture now where there is a lot of self-empowering content that we're exposed to. And certainly the sort of generations coming through are exposed to that from a very young age. This can do, I'm worth it, which is all fantastic. That's part of what I do with my work. I want to empower people, let them discover their self-worth, self-love, self-care, self-growth, and that's brilliant. However, there has to be a stable foundational concept behind that, because if you, in my opinion, fly off into the world with a very sort of airy ideas of what this self-worth, self-growth, self-love looks like, we can't actually commit to things and be our word for things and employment, and actually what happens is this opposite effect, which is, you know, is there a hesitancy to work hard? Where do you sit with that? Because that's the very opposite to this trapped in a job because of the stability, the finances needed, etc., versus the person who is constantly on this journey of transformation. But actually what that does is the opposite, because it's not actually helping one person stay in one place for any length of time to see its value.
It's a very interesting question, because, you know, there is only ever going to probably be one spa manager and one spa director. So if you're looking for a career within the industry and you're looking for, let's say, to maintain a certain number of years somewhere, and you're going to want to be personally growing, and you've got your sights set on that manager's job or that director's job, so you have a trajectory planned. But what happens if you don't see yourself as being the spa manager? What other positions are possibly open to you in that moment of, let's say, self-growth within a business? So I'm wondering whether there are opportunities. And again, I'm just throwing this out there as a thought, or is that how can we meet the needs and demands of those therapists that are coming through that want that self-development, but we don't want them to be leaving within a very short space of time? So is that where we need to really be focusing on continuing professional development, in terms of, if you stay with me in this particular job for I don't know how many years, even if you don't have that desire to become management, we're still going to invest in you and build you as a person. And would that keep people, would that be something that would be more engaging and you could attract more talent, is that you create for them a career path that might necessarily go up to management, but it could elevate, let's say, personal skills. What are your thoughts on that as an educator yourself?
And that's really ringing true, because I think the last year has shown us that companies are having to create programs for their employees to retain them, because we are, like you said, the great resignation, especially in the spa industry, has left a lot of businesses short-staffed, and recruitment has been an issue. And I think now we're looking at, so rather than reaching out externally, how can the internal process be more appealing for people joining that company? Training program, you know, actually bringing people from the same business and transferring their skills over to the spa. So giving people the opportunity who might have worked front of house to now train as a therapist and give them that training and development internally. That is starting to come through, because companies are realizing that, you know, we need to have incentives, valuable incentives for our employees to make them see the value in the company and their growth in one.
And I'd like to add to that as well, the well-being. You know, if you are creating an attractive environment for your staff, I think how you invest in their well-being is also something that is part of that growth model, in terms of that with perhaps an employee well-being program. You know, you want to discover more areas of self-development. So not necessarily the professional skill side, but also offering possibilities to take courses that would work on that self-benefit. And you might not get that with another company, but we're offering it to you. And it's like the total experience, isn't it?
Yeah. And just another thing on that is what drives people. So there's a flip side to this from the company business point of view. Are larger companies at more of an advantage when we talk about this? So if you are running a small business a small boutique spa that isn't connected to a corporate sort of umbrella as such, how do more boutique small businesses create those opportunities for people? Are they at a disadvantage?
I don't think they are. I think it's mindset of the manager and the owner right from the very start. Is that, I've worked recently with a couple of places that are just springing to my mind, where the owner has 9 girls. And what I feel and experience when I was there was one of a great team who care about each other's well-being as much as the owner cares. So there's that cohesion between the staff, and they create moments. It might not be the big moment that a larger spa could organize, but they definitely create moments throughout their working year when they are addressing those kind of concerns. They are having pleasurable time together. They are learning together. They're learning from each other. There is a sense of responsibility as well. And even though the manager is there to guide the ship, as it were, and they're not having little mini managers, as you could say, that nobody likes the word, you've got a mini manager, but they have responsibilities. I think it was one of the girls has a responsibility for the social media within a small spa, but she's also a therapist.
Yeah.
Another girl is responsible for another area of success of the business. So in fact, when they take that responsibility, they get that pride of making sure that it's a success. So she's carved up each individual so that, again, they're therapists, but at the same time, they're learning other skills and being responsible for different things.
So actually looking at the smaller business, there is actually an advantage of that, because there's a more of a tight-knit community, more meaning behind what they're doing. So actually, you could look at it that the larger companies need to create the community vibe within their company to have more value and meaning, so that they could actually learn from smaller businesses as such. I think that's really important. What you've said there is drawing on people's strengths and empowering people with their strengths. Because if you are working and you're feeling a bit trapped and you're stuck in a rut, but you don't want to leave, you can't leave for various personal reasons, how do you find value in your work? And that's the responsibility of yourself and your employer and your team. There needs to be regular communication of growth there, but also the incentive to stay and to grow.
I think sometimes as well, we talk about, in the corporate world, people aligning with the company's vision, mission, and values. And do they match the values of the person that they're trying to attract to them? But at the same time, if you as an individual haven't perhaps thought about, what are my values? What do I value in terms of going to work with somebody? What do they need to be offering me that really would make me want to stay, not feel trapped, and feel that element of growth? But if you yourself haven't identified your own values in life, I mean, I was asked once to do this, and I actually had to struggle for about it. What are my values? And it was like, oh, I had values, but I hadn't named them as such.
Verbalizing your values.
Yeah, verbalizing the values and actually checking in and making sure that, about being authentic, is, am I living that authentic life? Because I'm actually living according to my values, and when do we do that? When do we get asked to do that?
And is that why perhaps there is a misconception about the new generations coming through into the workplace do get attracted by those shiny things, and when the shiny thing gets a bit dusty, they get the next shiny thing, and they kind of dispose of that original shiny thing. So there's this sort of disposable quitting culture going on. But actually, is it because we need to tap into the underlying worth and value, because that is more powerful to keep someone employed and growing in an industry, in a business, than just giving them a product every month?
Carly, this is what this space is for here. This is why we created it. You know, we want to understand and hear from therapists. What are your values? What do you value most? How do you want an employer to show up for you? I mean, we're always asking our therapists to show up in a certain way, but let's understand, if you're not asking the questions about what do they want, how do they want us to show up, so that we can create that cooperation, we can create that complementarity within our teams.
And it's collaborative, it's equal, and yeah, right there then there is a sense of trust between employer employee. So yeah, do reach out to us, please. Email us at spasisterspodcast@gmail.com, message us on Instagram or Facebook at Spa Sisters Podcast, or through my Instagram or Julie's Instagram, and tell us what you value from your employer, what you would like to see from your employer, and what they are going to offer you, because you're the one with the talent, you're the one with the skills, and how are they going to harness your skills and your talents to the best of your ability? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Julie, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks, Carly.
Always a pleasure chatting in this way. We are on a mission to engage, disrupt, and transform the therapist experience. Keep in touch, and we will speak to you again soon.